Hello, welcome to In the Studio. My name's Donny Carr, and this is episode number 37. Today I have a great technique I want to share with you. Say you have a sound and it doesn't quite have that something, it doesn't have that X factor. It needs a little something extra. Maybe it's lacking in some top frequencies, a little high-end energy. Um, I'll show you how to maybe remedy that with this technique. I find this technique really works well on synths, ARPs, atmospheres, vocals, things like that. And it's just how to add a nice little shimmery, glittery kind of atmospheric top line to your sound, just to give it a little bit extra something something. So I picked out a sound for this example here, just a basic ARP. So let's give that a quick preview. Nothing special, just an ARP, and it just ran through a basic plate reverb. It's the Valhalla Vintage plate at its, I think, the default setting. So yeah, let's listen back again. A sound like this, I think that plate reverb just quite isn't enough. I feel like a nice, shimmery layer on top, kind of dancing around, would really benefit this sound. So this is easy to implement. So let's get right to the technique here. All you need to set this up is an auxiliary send. So it's sent over to channel 103 here. So we're going to use that track. So to set this up, all we need is a reverb first. I'm going to use Fruity Reverb 2. This will work great for this, but obviously, feel free to try different reverbs for some slightly different textures, of course, but we'll just use this for the example today. So to set this up, first we need to put the wet all the way up to 100%, and we're going to turn down the dry. This is a reverb send, so we don't want any of the dry signal in there. And I'm going to go ahead and spread this out at 100% because we want it to be kind of an atmospheric, kind of swirly type vibe. So let's do that. I'm going to turn the size up a little bit more here. And because this is already sent through the plate reverb, I'm going to go ahead and low cut this quite high. I'm going to turn this up to about 1K, 950. Hertz. That'll work. And we're going to turn the high cut off, obviously, because we want this to be a shimmery effect on top. We want the high frequency content in there. Let's see here. Now, what I want to do as well is give it a little bit of pre-delay. And if you don't know what pre-delay is, it's the space between when the signal actually comes in, and it's a little bit of a delay before the reverb actually takes effect. So you get a little space there for this to kind of dance around a little bit. So I'll say maybe 10 milliseconds. Why not? Will work. 13. Sure. And what we're going to do is actually give it a little bit of a longer decay time than the plate reverb. So I think the plate reverb is about just under 1 second. Let's go ahead and give this a reverb time of maybe, I don't know, maybe 4 seconds or so. Let's give that a try. And then you can adjust it to taste after you've got it set up. Now all we need is something to pitch this reverb. So I'm just going to use the Waves Sound Shifter, and there it is. Let's pull that up. Now I'd probably try to pitch this up by an octave first. So let's try that, or 12 semitones. Let's pull that up, and let's see how that sounds. Let's just mix that into taste. That's a little bit too ringy and teeny up top. Now, of course, it all depends on the source material. Some sounds, it's going to sound great at an octave, but this particular sound, I think it's a little much for my ear personally. So I'm going to go ahead and try a 5th or 7 semitones instead on this sound. I think that might work better. So let's give that a try. Yeah, that definitely sounds better to my ear for sure. So there you go. Then you have a nice shimmery, glittery, sparkly top layer for that synth that you can then, automate in and out of the track. Maybe you can just use it during the breakdowns for some extra, you know, like tension and build leading into the drop. Um, let's see. You could even just do some slight modulation on the sense here to kind of, have it drift a little bit more for a little extra interest. You could maybe even side chain it as well to the synth itself. Um, there's a lot of different options. You could side chain it to the kick too. Um, even maybe EQ it a little bit differently. And yeah, that's the technique I wanted to show you today. And just a little side note here, actually, what I do sometimes that I find works well is I'll just set up a send with just um, a pitching tool like Sound Shifter pitched up at 7 semitones, maybe even a third or 3 semitones. I would pick what works best with the elements that are in my track. Um, but then I would send, channels into that auxiliary send and maybe automate that up a little bit throughout the track to kind of just a slight and tuck it down really low to really kind of build that tension to the peak part of the track and then drop it back down, and that'll work great on pretty much anything in your mix really, basses, synths, vocals, uh, your lead sounds, even some drum elements as well work nicely, and it's a great way to kind of um, you know make your sounds that much more unique. So that's a little side tip. I have some longer video, more detailed videos planned in the near future, but I at least wanted to put together a short little video for you today. So leave me a comment, leave me a question. I hope it was useful for you. If you use this technique in your track, let me know how it goes and maybe send me some examples. I'd love to hear them. But I'll see you really soon and take care.